Hi there. My name is Scott Marker,
Hey.
and this is another episode of Treasure Valley QuickTips. What it is I'm a franchise owner of a network and action franchise. It's a once a month professional networking groups, and it's out of Houston, Texas. And I get to meet a lot of high caliber people here in the Treasure Valley. And today, my guest is a perfect example of that. Hey, Brent, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me, Scott. My name is Brent Farley. I'm an attorney. I practice, I do work for banks and financial institutions, and I do work for business owners and small businesses.
Cool. Well, and I've known you for a little while, but still, you have a big background in right? Is it like banking?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So after I graduated with an undergraduate degree, I worked in commercial banking for about a year, and really got to know commercial lending and looked at a lot of businesses, and that was in 2009. So if any of you were in banking or finance in that time frame, I think you'll understand that it was a very interesting time. It was interesting to see which businesses pulled through well, or pulled through kind of by their shoestrings, or just did not make it. And so it was very eye-opening, I think, and educational at that point in time.
But yeah, I bet you have a lot of experience now in the commercial side with the banking side of things.
Yeah, some on that. So some more of it came after I attended law school. I went right back into banking. Worked for a regional bank in Texas. I've actually enjoyed working in the area. Bankers, community bankers are usually really good to work with, but really got to know the bank and how it operated, and got to help them there, help in the compliance area and in legal matters, and just by nature, you got involved in just about every aspect of the banks.
Well, on that side of things, what's the banking side of things? What's your impact on the community?
Yeah, so there's a huge impact if a bank is working properly and it's committed to its community, the community will be growing, and vice versa. So the two fit together actually really well. And so if the community does poorly, the bank tends to do poorly. If the bank does very well, or if the community does very well, the bank does very well. And on both sides, they can influence each other to make things better or worse. As far as the biggest impact, this might sound a little funny, but it's more in payments infrastructure. So you walk up to somebody, you give them your card, right? Or you tap it, you swipe it, whatever, and you make a payment. It doesn't take very long, right? Maybe 30 seconds. Maybe it feels a little longer than that, but it's not very long. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, because that merchant that you're buying something from, they'll have a bank, and then you have a bank who issued the card, and they'll talk to each other, they'll exchange funds, all behind the scenes. And so I do a lot of work with banks and setting up those kinds of services. And so prepaid cards and credit cards and ACH and wires and lots of other payments-based services that you may not think of, because we do a lot of work to make it easy.
Right.
They kind of hide all the complexity from you. So
That's great. I didn't even know you did that with the banks, helping them settle that up. Because nowadays, I feel bad going to somewhere where there's tips sometimes, because if they don't have something that shows up when you use your debit card, makes me feel that, because I just don't carry cash. And if I do carry cash, I want to get rid of it as fast as I can, or put it in the bank, because I don't carry cash. So nowadays everything's electronic. And in fact, I went to an event the other day, and I asked them, how do I pay? And they said Venmo. and I didn't have Venmo even set up. And so I was like, oh, wow. So
that's fun. So I've seen a lot of businesses that move to Venmo or PayPal, which I think actually use the same rails anyway. But if you go to trade show, a lot of times they won't take cash, because they don't want to handle it, and it's kind of a liability. And so when I say impact, you think about, okay, now we have a way of not making people carry cash around all the time. It's not necessary. And in a lot of cases, that's a good thing. It's not always a good thing, right? It's important to have cash basis payments. But just think about it. I mean, 1,000 years ago when people started using checks, they used to, put the stuff in a carriage and put, coins and cash and whatever in a carriage and drive it through the forest, right? Or the desert to its destination. You don't have to do that. It's a lot safer. So
that's cool. It's commerce anymore. It's all about, making it easy as you can to buy, and a lot of that's online stuff. So now when it comes to your expertise in legal works, when it comes to a business owner, what do you think your biggest impact on like helping out a business owner is?
So the biggest impact, a lot of times it's unseen, and it's unseen because it's avoiding losses, right? Mm-hmm. Avoiding losses and disputes and all the pain and that come with that. So kind of to give you an example. So this is a bit of a family legend, right? So my grandfather started a business, and he sold a snack food, and it was kind of a cracked wheat product. And it sounds funny, but it's kind of like eating chips or something like that. It's a little salty, tasted pretty good, just a quick snack. He got to the point where he sold a truckload of this to somebody, and one of his business partners took the truck and drove it to deliver it and disappeared. Right? Because he took the payment, right? So he took the payment and left. And so I like to think of things on a prospective basis. And this is hindsight. I don't really want to. I don't really try to get after people for making mistakes, because you always see clearer from the back end. But it would have been pretty simple in hindsight to set up a different payment channel, right? And maybe an escrow agreement with the bank, so the purchaser paid the bank, or maybe just set up a bank account and say, hey, pay this bank account. And then there's no opportunity for somebody to drive down the road, take cash and disappear. And that theme shows up in terms of there's some simple things that you can do up front to avoid very large losses on the back end. And that comes up all the time in my practice. And so a lot of times business partners don't use a written agreement. And then later they forgot what the agreement was, or maybe they had two versions of what it was, right?
I can't remember the saying, but there's something about that people agree a lot more on when things are going good. Happy, the agreements. Oh, everything's perfect in agreement. But that's what, when it's not going good, that agreement kind of reminds people what they all agreed on when they're all happy.
Well, sometimes when things are really, really good, it comes up again. Somebody's eyes get really big, right? And they maybe see more than what they agreed to get. Also in housekeeping items, a lot of times on the front end, you're thinking about a transaction or a deal or starting a business, and there's all these little things that you don't take care of. Right. One that comes up a lot is payroll types of issues. So you didn't take care of your payroll taxes. Nobody said, hey, find a service, get this set up. And then later your assistant who you thought was paying your payroll taxes was withholding taxes, wasn't. And then not only do you owe all that, you didn't know it, you owe penalties on top of that.
Yeah, I heard of a business, not too long ago, probably 7 or 8 years ago. They did exactly that. Start off, got going really fast, and I don't know who did it, but someone didn't set stuff up right, and so they got audited and found out that they weren't paying a lot of their taxes that they should be doing for their employees, Social Security and workman's comp and a whole bunch of stuff. And boy, it was just a mess.
Yes.
And I just remember thinking I wouldn't. So is that something that you, when you come into like, let's say a startup business, that you kind of help them, you kind of a framework of things like that they can kind of follow and not?
Absolutely. So if it's your first business, your second business, or you're starting something new or cleaning things up, we'll work on the main components, and that's usually you look at intellectual property, you look at starting an LLC if they haven't done that already, you look at making sure that works right if they do, because it's not always used in the right way, and so it loses its benefit. But then we'll go over a lot of those housekeeping items, and then get you kind of a roadmap of, here's here's some things to look out for as you're growing or as you're doing business. Here's some industry issues that tend to come up. And so you're not blindsided. And so you have kind of a checklist to work through for housekeeping things. And then you're aware. So if you're aware and you're looking for the issues, you'll see them, you can address them a lot better.
Right. So if they're rather than get blindsided. And I've heard you say this before, but I'm going to ask you again because I didn't quite clarify. But what do you mean when you say using legal strategies to improve your business?
Right. So
I heard you say that once, kind of listening to you talking to somebody else, and I was like, "The heck does he mean?"
Yep. So it's hard. So it's industry focused and it's activity focused, right? So I like to think of it as maybe chess or sports. You have a favorite sport, you play chess. The basic moves, everybody's got to learn them. And so in chess, you learn where to put the pieces and how they move and what you can and can't do. Or in football or soccer, baseball, volleyball, whatever you play. There's some basic techniques for making the ball move around the way you want to, for accuracy, speed, and knowing kind of how to play. But then you take that and you put it into different positions on the field, and you start to get into, okay, this person does this job, and this person does that job, and you set up a defense and an offense and a plan for addressing attacks and a plan for scoring goals or scoring points. And in the legal world, it's a lot like that. So a lot of the legal tools, there tends to be some mystery surrounding them because lawyers don't do a great job about just pushing information out about, here are things that you can do to help. So some of those moves might be looking at trademark issues, intellectual property issues. If you own some material, like you're producing videos, right, and you're producing educational materials, how do we structure that ownership so you control it and that you protect it from exploitation, and then look at some ways that you may not know that you can sell it or that you can market it to other people or make money with it. On the business corporation side, if you want to set up an LLC, that's a lot of people have gotten to know that area fairly well. But basically, you're siloing your business risk, and you're protecting your personal assets and in life from the business risk. And on the same side, you're protecting the business from personal risks. And so if you have a business partner and they went into bankruptcy, you're going to want that division in place to protect yourself from things that are going on in their personal life. So it goes both ways. So those are a couple moves. Others are contracts, lots of different kinds of contracts to work with. A lot of times a service agreement, non-disclosures and non-competes come up quite a lot. And so you use all these tools and techniques to accomplish business objectives. And so if I'm starting a business and it's creative and it deals with knowledge, then you're going to want to know about intellectual property and some of the tools that are available there. So if you want to sell a course or something that you can license that in an appropriate way, or if you're developing software, you want to be able to control that in an appropriate way and make sure that the people you are working with aren't getting rights in the software that we're putting together and paying for, things like that. And that as you go forward and you're using your business, that the business risk stays siloed and it stays controlled, and that you aren't losing money where you don't need to lose money. And then we'll also try to identify some opportunities for making money that you may not have thought of. And so that's high level. And so when I say legal strategies, it's kind of hard to understand.
Right.
But hopefully that's a couple of examples for you to
it seems like working with someone like you, I mean, there's like a business owner to say, hey, Brent, here's what I'm doing. And by the way, here's 2 new partners I'm going to be working with. So what do I do? Where a lot of times without someone that knows legal stuff, they would just kind of like start working with them, and then things are going good when they're going good. When they go bad,
it's bad.
Is that kind of what you help business owners with?
Yeah, a lot of times. So that's really common. Folks that approach me or a firm, and they'll say, hey, we're going to start doing this, and that might be a brand new business owner, it might be an existing business owner starting something new. And, you know, it's either how do I do this, or is there something I should look out for? And that's the basic question.
Right.
But we go from there and we talk about what exactly you'll be doing, the business activities, and we'll think about, okay, what are the risks that come up here? What are the economic benefits and divisions that you want with your business partners? And then let's start putting kind of the rails in place, right?
Right.
That you can run on and not have to think about it so much. So that everybody's getting paid what they expected. They have the rights they expected and not more, not more duties and obligations than they expected. And then also making sure that when you're running the business, you're controlling kind of the economic benefits. Because a lot of times if you don't understand copyrights or trademarks or intellectual property, you can find that people will attack a successful business and try to take a piece of that from you. Or if you understand it well, you can find different ways to market and sell your products or your services.
Okay, not have someone steal your ideas.
Yeah,
like you hear about all the time, like some of the local big company. You hear that and this is international stuff, that you hear that they get their stuff stolen all the time. They have a patent, but I'm thinking like locally, same thing. Now, especially now, a lot of stuff's like we're doing this Zoom online. Is that, you know, more and more people are doing business with people out of state or out of the country, and I'm sure that's where you come in. Is that, you know, like it might, again, things are going good when they start off with, like you say, you got to put some rails in, like, on to protect yourself, because again, you're doing business with somebody and all of a sudden they steal your ideas and steal your maybe you have some logos and some branding stuff you use, and they just basically copy it and start using it.
Yeah. So trademark registration. The penalties for trademark infringement are pretty stiff. If somebody steals it, you can force them to disgorge all their profits.
Huh.
Right?
Wow. Yeah. No, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, it's a big hammer. But the thing with that is it can be used in the reverse. So if you don't bother to solidify your trademark ownership and register it, and you are very successful, somebody else might decide they want a piece of your success and say, well, hey, I was really using that trademark first and you weren't. And then you have litigation that you probably didn't want to get to. Took care of it up front. So
yeah. Which is, again, going back to why they hire someone like you, because you're just, I mean, again, there's just so many legal, I don't know, potholes out there anymore that you can get yourself into. It just seems like working with someone like you, it just kind of, at least give them, you know, let them sleep better at night. You know,
absolutely.
Protect.
So I mean, on the banking side, I learned a lot on the banking side. So you look at a business, you look at what are the risks, how do we address this so they're less likely to occur, and that we can control them if those things do happen. And then you also identify the strategies that we talked about, kind of the moves that you can make, and set up a good defense and an offense so you're ready to go. And then what should happen is you should be much better positioned to succeed with your business, not have to worry about just the stuff that comes up when you're in business. And you should sleep better at night. You really should.
Means something. So, and this kind of ties back into a lot of stuff you said. But if you were going to give some advice to a business owner that's listening right now to the what's like one of the, is there anything that sticks out that's like something that can protect their interests? I mean,
yeah. So this is.
I know there's a lot of stuff you talked about, the guardrails and stuff, but is there kind of a one major thing?
So here's something really simple and really common, and it's wire fraud. So if you've ever had the experience where you woke up in the morning and you go look in your bank account and there's nothing there, and there should have been a lot, then you completely understand where I'm coming from. So I work with banks on this. I work with small businesses on this, and there are some really basic things that you can do to prevent it. And let's just go through just a few of them. One is, don't share your logins with people. Just don't. You would be shocked at who does and how often it happens. And I get it, you're a busy business owner and you want your administrative staff to take care of the payments. Right. Well, you better be real careful to set up some controls and don't give them your logins. There's a better way to do that. Get them their own restricted logins, right? So they can't do everything and see everything and know everything. And that'll go a long ways. And then the other things kind of pour over from there. Use a good password. A good password is not password 123. Yeah. It's not password with P capitalized. You'd be surprised. If you hate passwords, use password manager. If you don't understand that, don't want to understand it, what I do is I find a song that I like and I use the initial letters of the main phrase of the song. Right. So it comes across as random. It's not, it's easy to remember. It's usually a pretty good password. You can add on some numbers and some symbols. Those are just a couple things. I think if most people did those things, there would be a lot less wire fraud.
I've actually heard of in years past of exactly that. And I won't get into it because complicated story, but people breaking in and password, easy passwords to get into and stuff, and then sending an email and sounding like that person and saying, hey, you need to wire 20 grand. And so they think it's the CEO or the owner. And so they do it.
Or 70 or
90. Yeah, you're right. And once that's wired, it's gone.
Yes, it is.
I'm laughing because that's horrible, but I'm just saying that.
No,
but I've heard that over and over.
In Hong Kong, it disappears and it is gone almost all the time. So.
Wow. Well, perfect. Hey, this has been great, Brent. I appreciate it coming on and kind of talking about things. And like I said, it's sometimes, when it comes to being an attorney, it's like, oh boy, you want to, talk to an attorney or whatever. But nowadays, it just seems like you're going to run a business. You got to have an attorney somehow involved to help you, keep yourself, like you said, protections, because it isn't a matter nowadays with all the legal stuff going on. I think that it's not if something's going to go wrong, it's just win.
It will. And so you can do things on the front end to avoid things going wrong. And then when things do go wrong, you can be much better positioned to deal with it and make it an easy thing and not a hard thing. So.
Well, awesome. Yeah, well, thanks for coming on today. Hey, if someone wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. Give our office a call or send an email. It's all available on our website. You can reach me directly, bfarley at farleylawplc.com.
And I'll also put it in the show notes too. So, hey, much appreciated. Appreciate you being on. Have a great day. Thanks for listening, folks.